I said it's possible. I didn't say it is. Remember? You even said if. It was just based on the flat Earth, because you said it is not possible on the flat Earth. So I had to prove you wrong. It is also based on the flat Earth,
done,
which invalidated your argument once again.
Awesome. You did a great job of invalidating it. Well done. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that's bullshit. And we.
There's one thing in the chat that a lot of people are asking about. One of Flatzoid's rebuttals was about, to your thing, Catz, was the plasma moon is the answer to the shadows. I don't know if you guys want to discuss that, but the chat are really excited to hear about Flatzoid's rebuttal to your shadows on the moon.
You have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma.
Brilliant. Let him go for that, yeah.
Okay, what's your rebut about it? Shadows, he said shadows can only curve on a sphered surface, which is false. If it's
No, I didn't say that. I said that the shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse is spherical because it's the shadow of the Earth cast on the moon, so that implies obviously that the Earth is spherical. That's what I said. That happens during only a lunar eclipse.
Okay, and based on a flat Earth model, the lunar eclipse is based on what? The plasma...
Well, I don't know, because flat Earth is nonsense. Why are you asking me about a flat Earth model? Why are you asking me about that?
Oh, I thought we were trying to bring both evidences here. Why are you only trying to bring yours now and just obfuscate from mine? If it's plasma, can it regenerate itself?
You want me to bring flat Earth evidence?
If it's plasma,
Seriously?
can it regenerate itself?
You want me to bring evidence for... Sorry,
can plasma regenerate... Why not answering me? Can plasma regenerate itself, Catz? Very simple answer. Yes
what
or no?
are you referring to? Are you referring to blood plasma? Are you talking about ionized gas? When you
ionized gas, plasma. That's what the plasma is. Ionized gas. Come on.
Plasma phenomena, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you are proved to be correct in your theory?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete re-investigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because
can it regenerate
and when
itself?
you say regenerate itself, what do you mean?
Like the phases of the moon, or when it has eclipse, it has the so-called shadow.
So the question was this.
Can it?
Please let your answer match the question. The question was, you said about plasma and can it regenerate itself. I said, what do you mean by plasma regenerating itself? So that was the question. When we talk about ionized gas and plasma regenerating itself, that was the question. Your answer to can plasma gas regenerate itself was the phases of the moon. Now, that is an answer to a different question, Flatzoid. The question I'm asking is, what do you mean when you say plasma can regenerate itself? Can I have an answer to that question?
Plasma is the fourth state of matter. It's simply an electrically charged gas.
Okay, it's just the way it has the phases, just like you have an eclipse.
Sorry, plasma. We've just agreed that plasma was ionized gas.
Yes.
You asked me, can plasma regenerate itself? I asked you, because I wasn't sure what you were talking about, whether you were talking about electrons being locked up by positive ions. I didn't know what you were talking about. So I asked you, what does regenerating plasma mean? And you said the phases of the moon. So can you see how your answer is an answer to a different question, maybe a question like what is on screen right now? You're showing a picture of the phases of the moon. That's the kind of answer that your question, that's the kind of question that your answer's been to, but it's not the answer to my question. So
Matter changes state by gaining or losing energy.
can you specifically tell me what you mean by the sentence, can plasma regenerate itself? Just that word.
Again, what is the cause of ionized gas?
So, right. The question was, Flatzoid.
What's the cause of ionized gas?
You asked me the question.
Can you just answer me?
You asked me the question, can plasma regenerate itself? I asked you to clarify the question for the benefit of the 900 people watching and the 2 people watching on your channel And
2 people.
I want an answer. What
I've got
do
like
you
60
mean by
people on my
can
channel right
plasma
now.
regenerate itself?
2 people. Okay.
What do you mean by the question?
Again, how is ionized gas generating itself into plasma?
No. You said can
I'm asking
plasma
you.
regenerate
It's a simple
itself?
question.
Did you misspeak?
I'm trying to get you to get it, but you're not answering.
No,
Is it simple
just
yes
tell
or
me.
no?
Tell me what you meant by the question, or you misspoke. If you miss...
But now what happens if we give that gas even more energy? With even more energy, we can strip the gas particles into their separate charges.
Just tell me you misspoke. But just tell me what you meant by the question. Don't lead me around the houses. I'm not going that
trying
way.
to, if you would stop talking for 2 seconds.
So
Jeez.
tell me what you meant. Go.
Simple. It has a cycle. It goes through this cycle. So
Tell me
it
what you meant by the
regenerates itself
question.
based on electromagnetic forces.
Tell me what you...
Okay, so I believe the question was, what do you mean by plasma regenerating itself, Flatzoid? Can you answer that question? That way we can get the question that you asked, make sure we get that answered, because I think that a lot of people on the sides would like to know the answer to both of those questions. That way we can move forward.
Okay, like I'm saying, ionized gas regenerating itself is just me trying to say it goes through a cycle. So it's just regenerating based on the electromagnetic forces. That was it.
So a plasma is simply an electrically charged gas. It behaves a bit like a gas, but with extra effects due to these freely moving charges.
So can I just define, you asked me the question, because we're still all very unclear, you asked me the question, how does, or just does, plasma regenerate itself? That's what you asked me. And I said, what does that mean? And you said, the phases of the moon or something, I have no idea. Your answer there still doesn't help. Can you just tell me what you mean by the word regenerate in that question? Just that one word. What do you mean by that one word? It's really nice and simple.
Electromagnetic forces creates
so electromagnetic
the cycle.
forces means regenerate. Does the word regenerate mean electromagnetic forces? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Flatzoid?
I say it goes through a cycle thanks to the electromagnetic forces. What's so hard to understand?
Regenerate mean in your question? I want to answer your question. You asked me, does plasma regenerate? I have asked you about 50 times, what do you mean by the word regenerate?
Plasmas conduct electricity, and they respond to magnetic fields.
It just answered you.
I'm going to make this really specific and clear. Just tell me what you meant by the word regenerate, so we all know that you're not making this up.
I just told you.
You've got some idea what you're talking about.
I just told you. The electromagnetic forces and how they work with the ionized gases helps it to regenerate. So therefore it is cycling. Do you get it?
So what I said originally was right. You are talking about when a gas is either superheated or, when it gets extremely energetic, some electrons can be lost. So we have this sea of positive ions and free electrons. And you're saying the electrostatic forces between those may then cause some of the free electrons to be mopped up by some of the positive ions, right? That's not regenerating plasma. What that is doing is removing ions and free electrons and reforming atoms in the earth. So when lightning strikes, it gets very, very hot. The air gets ionized. We have free electrons. We have positive nuclei. Electrostatic forces pull them together, and that's it. There's no cycle. It's it. They've been broken apart and put back together and reforming atoms in the earth. So when lightning strikes, it gets very, very hot. The air gets ionized. We have free electrons. We have positive nuclei. Electrostatic forces pull them together. They've been broken apart and put back together. They've been broken apart and put back together. They've been broken apart and put back together. Now, everybody, there's about 1,000 people in the chat all wanting to know what that's got to do with moon phases or the shadow of the Earth on the moon. I know you're going to give us a good answer, so I'll put myself on mute.
So there's no electromagnetic fields above the Earth?
Okay, so let's go again. There is no
How much times are you going to repeat yourself? I'm literally, you're making my point when you brought up lightning.
Brilliant. Would you like me to tell you what electric fields surround? What does an electric field surround, Flatzoid?
Everything.
Right. Electric fields surround charged particles, of course, things with a charge. So when you say there's no electromagnetic field in the other,
I never said that. I'm saying, is that what you're saying?
No, clearly not. What I'm saying, I'm telling you now. Okay. What I'm saying is when the ionization occurs, we end up with free electrons, we end up with positive ions, and we can treat them as point charges. Each will have their own radial electric field, and the field lines will act in opposite directions because they've got opposite charges. That will result in an electrostatic force, which will pull them together. And then when they are together, the sum of those forces, the sum of those electrostatic charges the charges is 0 after they've been pulled back together. But when they are separate, the sum is not 0 around each charge. So then they will be pulled back together. So I have no idea, and the chat is still confused. What has this got to do about moon phases? Please tell us.
The moon is a plasma. No man will ever land on it. Soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is less, far less, than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass.
Like I said, you're making my point. So when the electrostatic charges change in frequency, it changes the phases. So when you have an eclipse, listen, when you have an eclipse, could it just be the cycle it's going through?
So when you say an electrostatic charge changes in frequency, what do you mean? And I'll give you a heads up on this one. Right. So how does the size of a charge, or what is the relationship between the size of a charge and vibration?
It's the temperature. More energy.
So the relationship between size of charge and vibration is temperature. Are you talking about vibration of the ions and electrons?
Yes.
Or are you talking about, right, so we're not actually talking about the frequency of an electric field.
Physics, lecture 7. When you disturb a plasma in some way, it will produce waves. So here, we look at the simplest possible plasma oscillating mode. In doing that, we'll introduce concepts such as the phase and group velocities. Then we look at basic plasma oscillations and the associated frequency of that oscillation.
No, the electric field is what conducts. The electric field is what conducts its cycle. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Right. So let me get this straight.
Right. Thank you.
No, because what you said is complete bullshit. But what you're basically saying is this.
So when you're in an arc reactor and you have ionized gas, it's not caused by electrostatic forces.
So what you're saying is we have ionized gas. You're saying we've got ionized gas, right? So free electrons have been lost. We've got positive nuclei behind. And then electrostatic forces allow the positive nuclei to mop up the electrons. And then you've taken that, and this is the bit I'm going to ask you on now. You've taken that leap to then talk about the fact that they pulled each other together. It's something vague to do with frequencies. Something really vague to do with frequencies, and that is somehow vaguely linked to moon phases. Can you solidify that and tell us, like, really in detail, what the hell you're on about when you talk about frequencies having something to do with moon phases?
They're also very turbulent because these electric and magnetic fields feed back on each other.
Because you're inventing a new brand of physics, we all want to hear it.
New brand of physics. So you've never seen an arc reactor before with ionized gas inside. What happens when...
So an arc reactor causes the moon phase?
No.
In what way is the moon phase like...
What is with your red herrings and straw mans? Just listen to what I'm saying. How does it cause the ionized gas to behave when you change the frequency?
The frequency of what?
In fact, the majority of the universe, more than 99.99%, is in the plasma state.
Flatzoid, the cations will move to the cathode. The anions will move to the anode. If the anion and anodes, if the cathode and anodes change places, then you're going to get alternating forces on those ions. If you don't change places, they'll be in the same direction. So can you clarify your question when you say, do ionized gases work on electric? And I don't know why you're asking me, you should tell me. Can you clarify your question?
In other words, how does an arc reactor work? Would you know how an arc reactor works? No, I just want to know, would you know how an arc reactor works to create plasma gas, ionized gas?
Yeah, ionized gas is produced by having so much energy that you cause ionization. You meet the ionization energy of the atoms, and free electrons are released into the, or electrons are released from each atom. So it's usually done by super high temperatures.
Okay. And if
then
the
what
moon
happens
is plasma,
those ions will move to the opposite electrode.
Okay, and if the moon is plasma and it has those frequencies, what happens? Would it be
Sorry,
able
what frequencies?
I'm just saying, based on the energy, would it be able to change and have its so-called shadow as it regenerates?
We make plasmas in fusion reactors when we recreate the sun.
The thing about people that believe in woo is that they throw out the words frequency and energies without knowing what they're talking about. So let's pin you down on this. When you talk about the frequency of the moon, can you define, for the 1,000 people watching on this channel and the 4 or 5 people watching on your channel, can you define what you mean by the frequency of the moon?
Hi, this is Fizz30141 video 18. And in this video, we're going to look at the motion of electrons in a conductor and see that it is similar to the motion of electrons in a plasma.
Again, not the frequency of the moon, of the electromagnetic forces attributing to the moon phases.
So here we go again. Electromagnetic forces, we can look at Coulomb's law, right? So Coulomb's law, we've got K, Q1, Q2 over R squared, and that will determine the size of the electrostatic force between two charged particles. Now, nowhere in Coulomb's law, if anybody Googles it, does it talk about frequency. Coulomb's law, if anybody Googles it, does it talk about frequency. Coulomb's law, if anybody Googles it, does it talk about frequency. Coulomb's law, if anybody Googles it, does it talk about frequency. Coulomb's law, if anybody Googles it, does it talk about frequency. So has your understanding of electrostatic forces gone beyond Coulomb himself? Can you tell us what you mean?
Again, just about the temperature. That's what I was saying with frequency. Temperature change.
The frequency of what? I'm asking the question because I just want to know. I want to learn.
What happens when temperature changes, frequency changes? It moves faster, it has more energy, temperature goes up. So you're adding more energy into the system. So when you take energy and when you remove energy, transfer it somewhere, or you put more energy into the system, what happens? Does it have the same phase or does it change?
No one knows what the fuck you're talking about. Can you tell us what frequency you want to, so then we can move on?
Means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and the new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
What do you mean energy levels? What do you mean energy levels?
Electromagnetic forces.
Right, so we go back again. Electromagnetic forces, right? We talked about, remember we talked about this, Flatzoid, about Coulomb's law and the attraction between different oppositely charged objects, etc. You're going back to the fact that oppositely charged particles have forces acting upon them, and you're saying, that'll do, that's how the moon phases work.
I said it's possible. I didn't say it is. Remember? You even said if. It was just based on the flat Earth, because you said it is not possible on the flat Earth. So I had to prove you wrong. It is also based on the flat Earth, which invalidated your argument once again.
Awesome. You did a great job of invalidating it. Well done. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that's bullshit, and we.